too.
Even if it wasn't a full week, even if it was just a couple days, it's kind of nice.
I'm kind of glad it's a full week because I'm going to Kentucky to see my mom.
Oh, okay. Certainly need more time to do that.
Yeah.
Will you get to stay many days, or?
I'm staying for most of the week.
Okay. Trent. Okay, I guess we're not doing a minute of silence today. But I gave you guys the full assignment last time, so that was having the book assignment finished, which I think most of you guys did that in class last time. And then finish up the worksheet 1, which should be treated like a practice quiz. So I do want both of those turned in today. So if you don't have either one of those two things finished, please go ahead and move forward on that. I'd be happy to take more questions from the book assignment. If there was something that you didn't see before you left yesterday or Wednesday, or anything from the practice quiz that you need help on, I would be happy to answer as well. Super important though that you check your answers to the practice quiz. Don't just assume it's all correct. You need to learn from your mistakes. And as I've been saying for the last couple classes, anything that you missed, forgot to do, any of that kind of stuff, you really should mark it up on your notes and assignments as best as you can. Because assuming you don't look over any of this over spring break, you don't really want to start from square one when we come back. So we're not going to make you quiz or test the first day back, but probably will be the second day back. So we'll do a quick little review. And so if you personally have written down the things that you were struggling with, I think that would go a long way. But okay, does anyone have any questions ready to go that you'd like me to go ahead and start with on the board, either from the end of the book assignment or from the practice quiz? Yes. 58. Okay. Okay, so what jumps out at me about question 58 is both of these are natural logs separated with subtraction. So I would probably try to condense these two with division and not do anything to the right side. And then if the left side is natural log and the right side is natural log, that part is already balanced out. It's not that it really goes away, it's just that we're not too concerned with it. And so now we're left with an algebraic type equation to solve, but we do need to make sure that we plug them in at the end to make sure that our answers are not extraneous. So if you were to multiply both sides by x minus 2, that would be an improvement because you don't have fractions. You need to recognize that you have a quadratic. Quadratics always need to be set on one side. Everything on one side set equal to 0. You can try to factor this. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that one's going to factor. So, like this has come up many times in this assignment. The only way to solve a quadratic 100% of the time is with quadratic formula. So plug in -3 for b here and here. Plug in 1 for a here and here. And plug in -1 for c. 9 plus 4 would be 13. Okay, so without a calculator, I would probably stop here and say that would be my two answers. But since we have a calculator, we can be a little more thorough and make sure that neither one of these are extraneous. So if I ask my calculator, what is 3 plus the square root of 13 divided by 2 as a fraction, or I'm sorry, as a decimal? The plus version is about 3.03. So if I imagine plugging in about 3.3 here, it's fine, here it's fine, here it's fine, because it's always taking the log of a positive number. But I suspect the minus version of quadratic formula, the minus version is about -0.0 or 0.303, So it would be okay to plug that in here, but not here and not here, because we would be taking the log of a negative. Can't take the log of 0, can't take the log of a negative. So the minus version of quadratic formula was extraneous. We wanted to keep only the plus version. Now, on your actual test, we'd either have to give you a calculator so you could do like what I did to figure out which one's extraneous, or we would just have to avoid that topic, because knowing which one of those two, or if either or both were extraneous, you really need to see them as decimals. So knowing what those look like as decimals, you really need a calculator for that. Okay, is that enough for 58? Okay. Anybody else got more book questions or practice quiz questions that you have ready to go? Obviously you can ask any time in the period. It's just, might as well ask the ones you have ready. Yep. 7 on the practice quiz. Okay. Okay, so one thing I would say about 7 is you need to pretty much know what to do right off the bat. So this strategy on this question doesn't really help with much of the other questions. But when you've got 3 terms like this, really the only way to move forward on this question type is with factoring. So if you need to do product sum and take a couple minutes to factor it correctly, then do that. But e to the x times e to the x gives you e to the 2x. When you multiply things with the same base, you add the exponents. Negative 8 times positive 1 multiplies to negative 8. And even though there's other stuff that multiplies to negative 8, you want a minus 8 and a plus 1, because here my outer combined with my inner would give me negative 7 e to the x. So you have to factor it. Then you can set this equal to 0 to solve, and this equal to 0 and solve. So undo minus, undo plus, take exponential form and change it to logarithmic form. Take exponential form, switch it to logarithmic form. Now this is where I could tell some people who turned in their assignment early, and I mentioned on Google Classroom you need to check your work. If you leave this as an answer, this can't work. You can't take the log of a negative number, so that was not part of the solution. So looking at people's work, if they left it as an answer, I knew that they didn't check their work. So very likely what you guys need to write about this question, if you don't think to factor that in about the first 10 seconds, that's probably the note you need to write to yourself in case it shows up on the quiz. Okay, anything else that's ready? Okay, as you find more, please just let me know. You can either call me over to your desk or bring it up here. Either one I will be happy with. But I do want both of these turned in today to Google Classroom, please. So as you finish up both of them, go ahead and turn them in, and after that you're welcome to work on something else for another class if you have any.